Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your end of April 2025 general tarot reading. It's Rena here, Sun in Sagittarius. I was thinking to myself, okay, what sign am I going to do next? And I thought, okay, why not Sag? Because I can. All right. I'm going to just pick one more card. Okay. All right. The reason Two of Cups is a nice card, but it's also when something is a two, there's kind of like this dualism that can have to do with a choice that you have to make. It almost seems like a cliffhanger, so that's why I picked another one. The heart of the matter is the Page of Pentacles. So for the last half of the month, we're looking at, and they call it Daughter of Pentacles in the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. Um, so what does that mean? Page of Pentacles. Well, pages are messages, and communicate. You could say messages are communication. So you might be communicating with someone about material matters. Pentacles in some decks are called coins, and they can deal with literal money, but also anything to do with work and maybe health matters, and also earth signs. The three earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So you might be speaking to someone of any of those signs, but you might be communicating about material matters for some reason. Also, this is a card of the student, which means that you might be undertaking some kind of course, or maybe you've already started it and it's heating up in some way, or graduation. Well, actually, with Page of Pentacles, yeah, they say the student, but so I don't know if it can be just the end stage of something, because we're in April, the end. This is like usually when a semester winds down, so maybe you're graduating college. Also, this can be a small lump sum of money for some reason. So that would be nice, wouldn't it? In the past position, we have the Star card, but it was turned upside down. This is a card that's connected to Aquarius. And so this card is about, of course I have it upside down, but right side up, it's about hopes and wishes, and actually about believing in unseen forces, which means that I always mess this one up, but Dr. Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer, he had a book called You'll See It When You Believe It, instead of I'll believe it when I see it. You'll see it when you believe it. You have to believe it first, and then it materializes. Now, because this is upside down, it could have meant that something you may have felt like your hopes were dashed somehow. Maybe you thought you were going to get a certain job, and it didn't materialize, or some money that you thought was coming in. So that could have been a disappointment in recent weeks. The higher message, or what this is really trying to teach you, is connected to the Mother of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords. And what I would say about this is the marriage of emotion and detachment, because the Queen represents the water and the swords the air. So what that sounds almost contradictory, because the water is so different than the swords. It's about emotion. Well, emotion means, like in manifestation, being able to get in touch with the feeling of something that you want, but also not having to have it at a certain time, because sometimes that can create a lot of disappointment when something doesn't come as quickly. And maybe you can still have that thing, but the timing was off. We've been through all these retrogrades, and things are still kind of like sorting themselves out in April. What crosses you is the daughter, daughter of swords, which is the page of swords. And I'm reading this in a reverse way. Oh man, I'll tell you, I had one doozy of a full moon in Libra. If you had like a craptastic day, which was yesterday, when I'm recording this on Sunday, it was on Saturday, let me know in the comments, because oh my God, it was hellacious. And today's been a lot better, but actually today's been kind of weird too. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's astrological or just something else, but yeah. And as a Sag in my natal chart, this actually fell in my 6th house. So it wasn't even in some kind of house that would be emotional or anything like that. The Page of Swords, reading it in a challenge way, can be even like paranoia. And this was something that happened with me today, or I'm kind of like thinking it was kind of paranoia. It was just I was very sensitive to myself. And sometimes when that happens, it's because you're in such a subjective state that you're kind of seeing everything as an affront to you. And this is one of the reasons why it's not wise to make assumptions about what other people are doing, because you have no idea, especially if these people are strangers. But it's hard. Sometimes you feel like, oh my gosh, it's like this person's really doing this thing, and yet you don't know that. So maybe you have struggled with this yourself. Notice how we have 2 pages here. What I would say, because it's almost like a cross, we still have, I'm trying to think about when is Mercury still in Pisces as I'm recording this. I have no idea. I know it goes into Aries pretty soon. Maybe it's not until, I don't know. I don't really know if it's still in Pisces. If it is, that squares off Sag. So the Pisces placements cause that kind of tension. Both Venus and Mercury went back into Pisces, and we're in April, so they're probably, I'm sure they're coming into Aries in April, but I don't know exactly when. Even though I've done the April forecasts, I promptly put it out of my mind. So it could be something that is at cross purposes with you in some way that's affecting the way that you see. Maybe you're overly suspicious about something. And, like if you get a job offer, for instance, and you're being like very nitpicky about it, and you're not sure if it's the right thing. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility that you're tuning into something that is not quite right, but just keep in mind that you might be being extra critical because you're trying to protect yourself, because maybe you've already had your hopes dashed and you don't want it to happen again. I like this, what's coming in. Wheel of Fortune. This is connected to Jupiter, our ruler. This is about alignment, and that, I think when I did the May forecast on May 2nd, I think Jupiter's coming out of its shadow period. So then it's going to be at full strength. And so any kind of snafus that are connected to good fortune, money, that kind of thing, that should be a faint memory after the beginning of May. But this can be very good for aligning with the things that you want. The outcome is the two of um, I was focused on those roses. I was going to say two of roses, but cups. And this is a card of reuniting with someone. And, when I did the forecast for the retrograde in whatchamacallit, Aries, this was in your fifth house. And, that's in addition to having Jupiter in the seventh house for Sag, the seventh house of committed partnerships. So there's a lot of romantic stuff going on, but Mercury retrogrades and Venus retrogrades can see people from your past coming in. With Venus, they can be specifically love interests. So there might be, for some of you, that you are aligning with one of these people. Or if you left a marriage to be with somebody that turned out to be a dead end, maybe that person takes you back. If you think that there's something good there, I did pick a additional card. The Judgment card is, the Judgment card can be for people that are getting divorced. It could be that the judgment is being, rendered in the near future, but it can also be a card of rebirth. And that can mean that perhaps the Wheel of Fortune is breathing new life into you in one area, and that is giving you that feeling as the month progresses that is really good for you. As a matter of fact, come to think of it, on the 27th of April, there will be a new moon in Taurus, and that's the sixth house for Sagittarius. And I'm talking about as a general reading because that's like, I think it's at about 7 degrees of Taurus, 6 or 7 degrees. So that's like, it's an early degree. There might be some of you for whom this falls in the fifth house, depending on your particular chart. So keep that in mind. Alrighty, Sag. Sounds promising. 3 major arcana cards. That can indicate a lot of movement in the last half of the month. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, I do private tarot readings, but I also do natal chart interpretations and transits for the upcoming 12 months. I have three readings in a package called the whole enchilada, just the chart readings themselves. I have a package deal called Deep Dive, and these readings are discounted in price by buying them together, and they really go well together. I have other readings like love readings and career readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.